So there is a musical genre called rock and roll. Where does it get its name from? Rock and roll. What could it mean possibly? Rock in an African language means to have sexual intercourse. Rock and roll has the most disgusting connotation that you can ever think about. And why does it get this name? And why is this music popular across the world? YouTube is saying that there are billions and billions of views. The highest billion views are billion is 1,000 million, right? So you can think about the number of people who are all watching this. Unfortunately, it is not people who are watching this. This rock and roll genre taps the sexual energy of children, expressions of children, very early in their lives, leading to high divorce rates in America. I didn't say this, but Alan Bloom, The Closing of an American Mind is the name of the book, and he speaks about how this genre is extremely dangerous to America. And he wrote this book in 1984, and bestseller then, but I don't think it has been internalized, and that culture has come all the way to international schools in India and everywhere. They are repeatedly listening to Imagine Dragons, Band, Animal, Believer. These are all these are all having terrible visuals that if you accidentally happen to watch them, you have to clear your history. That terrible things that are reaching the children today. So why did this happen? Uh, let's just step back a little bit. Where are the origins of music? Who invented music? When did who animals knew what is music? Birds, right? They have the most beautiful sounds. But when did it come to mankind, and what did he do with that? When did he create a structure around music, and when was the structure broken to this dangerous state that you are in right now in rock and roll, right? So, and what is Carnatic? What is Hindustani? What are the other genres of music? So-called genres, right? I'm not a fan of calling musical genres. Music is just sound. It's just frequency, right? It's oscillation of atoms. As I speak now as well, you can hear the atoms moving back and forth in a specific periodicity, and it's a combination of all that frequencies that is doing this magic to the microphone, and you're able to hear that. And where is music in this scale? Is there is a mathematical pattern around every frequency that can be chosen, and and uh, and why is mathematics involved here is there is an irrational number called root 2, which 1.414 goes up all the way to infinity. It's just a number that doesn't ever repeats, and you take 12 times of that root and you multiply it by sa, you get re. You multiply it by re, you get re 2. So you do that 12 times, you get the next octave. The next octave kind of resembles the first octave in a sense that the repetitions are more matched. So this pattern is pure mathematics that makes it fantastic for you. Who invented this? Who do you think could have invented this? If you Google up blindly, things take you to Pythagoras. A Pythagoras who existed, who did not exist, who has there's not many records about him, but there are volumes and volumes of Baudhanya Sutram recordings here, and usage of it in geometry and many other aspects, Goladhyayam and Rekha and many other aspects, right? You look up this irrational number, the history that you find from the West is very mediocre. There is a Hipparchus who was also in the Pythagorean time, who was apparently taken to the sea and drowned for letting the secret out that root 2 can never terminate. Imagine, guys, there is a square of side 1 and 1, then the diagonal can never be measured in the number system, right? So, going to the number systems, India is much more deeper, right? The invention of zero is said to be Indo-Arabic, but it's at least dated 800 years wrongly in the Bakshali script and many other things that have evidence come out in the Bolin Library of uh, uh, United Kingdom. There is so much research that we have used zero and number system many hundreds of years before all the West has recognized it to be coming from Arabia or whatever. So India is no doubt, right, mathematically brilliant. not just in number system, but its application to music to get the irrational numbers, vishama samkhyam, parinema samkhyam. So there are poems around number systems and poems around geometry about how you measure the circumference of earth. vratakshetre paritigunitha vyasapada palam tat shunnam vede rupari paritah kandu hasteva jalam. In beautiful melodic Sanskrit, the poems resonate, and you know what needs to be known in that particular sense. You sometimes you memorize a little bit of a concepts here and there, and you move on. Shunnam Vedai Rupari Paritaha. Veda is number 4 is represented as Vedas. Number 5 is Bana, because Manmadan's Bana will blind all the 5 senses. Things like that, right? There are people who are speaking about it now and bringing the brilliance out, but why? What connection does it have to my video cautioning you and your kids, more importantly the children, to stay away from rock and roll music? So coming back to this, right? Coming back to America. Who introduced music to America? Africa. Blues, sorrow. I don't know what was there before in America before that. Before America, Vespucci came. Before that, Christopher Columbus made a wrong turn and he called all of them as Indians. He forcefully kept on saying that you're Indians, you're Indians, you're Indians, but then they put enough money again and sent Vasco da Gama around. He couldn't make it to India. Group of sailors took him from Africa here, right? So he went in search of India to a wrong country, called everybody as Indians. Why did he do that? How flourishing was India back then for a European people to put so much money into a ship and go all the way there, right? So that's a different story. But how did music, again, I'll have many drifts because I'm very passionate about history. But this video, I want to restrict the scope to why music is very divine and what are its origins, right? So blues became rhythm and blues. The sorrow of the African slaves in America became R&B, rhythm and blues, and slowly pop was introduced and they started banging all the instruments at one shot. At the same time, pornography was liberalized in America, right? So it is accepted. Technology started so-called booming. So cameras invented. For the first reason, cameras were invented for extremely shooting obscene content, and they saw money, huge amounts of money in music. So American Mind, Closing of an American Mind is the book that is written by Alan Bloom in 1984. Again, right? He says that the high divorce rates in America in 84 is because of the rock and roll music, this genre, this rock and roll, right? So I see kids' t-shirts in India having a rock and roll. How disgusting is that? So be careful where you're collecting these crappy things from the West. There are brilliant things there from the West if you want to get here, but not these things, right? Music is dangerous. Why is music dangerous? In Islam, for example, musical instrument playing is haram. It is not allowed. It is considered a sin to indulge yourself in music. In Christianity, it is not acceptable to play music which is not on the Lord, right? And in Sanatana Dharma / Hinduism, we have musical instruments in the hands of gods and goddesses. Krishna has the flute, Shiva has the damru, Saraswati has the veena, and it's with gods and goddesses. Why has music on the other hands of gods and goddesses? There are weapons, weapons and food. So food, of course, important weapon for protection. Musical instrument, why musical instrument in the hands of gods and goddesses, right? So think about it. It has such a deep impact that it can carry on a civilization, on children. So which is why you have to really understand where this music originated and what can we do to preserve its sanctity in the sense that it is fostering children to be creative, to express themselves well. So Carnatic music, if a child learns, he can then express himself in any genre. I can listen to rock and roll today. I can listen to anything in any part of the world with profound interest and reproduce the music to a good amount and enjoy. But I will not, because I'm not, my sexual energy is not trapped in music anymore. But children, if you expose them to rock and roll early, they will never touch any other genre in their lives. For their whole lifetime, they will say, I want to learn guitar someday in my life. You ask them after 10 years, they will say, I want to learn guitar someday in my life. Ask them 10 more years later, in their deathbed also, they will say, I want to, I should have learned, I could have, no, because it did not bring them to express anything. There is no structure in learning that, and more importantly, it is not music. I don't think it's music. So, anyways, right? So, I want to bring my thoughts back. There are so many things I want to tell you about music's origins and Carnatic itself, right? The 12 notes, the root of two that I just said, 12th root of two, how how a string can be touched at different points of places, and how this Veena conceptualized thousands and thousands of years ago in Natya Shastram with Yoga Patanjali. It has 22 notes, not 12 but 22 notes. But today we have only 12. There was a reason maybe for reducing this. Uh, Maybe the complexity, the brains could not take it. The Western brains or American brains or European brains, other things could not have been taken. But here, 22 notes were there. Why did it die? We don't know. But what could have happened before? If you ask someone what are the origins of music, right? They'll quickly say Western, Beethoven, Mozart, 1400s, guys. Come on, we're talking about BC here, right? Chidambaram and other places. We're talking about BC. Mullai Pan, if you go even further, right? Mohana Ragam. They was used to, drive away things bad, evil from the forests. Mullai Pan has Mohana Ragam. And the Pan itself, there are seven such scales. Mohanam, Shankarabharanam, not the pentatonic, right? The seven scales, Shankarabharanam and Mecha Kalyani and Hari Kamboji, and all those seven scales are exactly matching in the same order that Greek nodes, right? The modes of Greek, the Lydian, Mixolydian, Isolydian, whatever, right? It exactly matches. Now, West will accept Greek sources as if it's just beautiful, right? But you hear the stories of Greek, it's just Hipparchus going and getting drowned here and there. Pythagoras, don't know where he existed. But, oh, we have the sources intact. We will pretend as if Pythagoras' theorem is just not about triangles, but about music and but about all these things, and scrambled. The identity of zero is scrambled. This is the reason why mathematics is not internalized all over the world. But Indians have a huge potential in bringing this back to life. Mathematical education has to be Indian way. Poetic, enjoy, contextual to the application, not grades 1 to 12 number system to calculus of absolute nonsense. Contextual, and we have a huge potential. I'll talk about it in a different video, right? The whole of world is struggling, even though they make fancy visualizations. Somebody would have caught it somewhere to express Fourier transform in a brilliant way, and would think that it will reach everybody. No, they're all in despair. They're creating content which is consumed by elite 2-3 people, and then Khan Academy, this academy, that academy. It's all centered towards sad scores and reinforcing the scams. So it's not connecting well. So the potential of India towards mathematics will go there separately. But why does music sound awesome? Because there is mathematics in that. There's a pattern. There's a geometrical progression in that, and that originated here in India, alongside the best places in the world, and it was exchanged. It was gifted everywhere, but then degraded to current context which is happening there, and coming back as nonsense here. So what do you do now? Your child is expressing early interest in rock and roll. Is like ooh and singing in absolute shruti-less thing, and doesn't even realize that the music is I shouldn't say shruti, because shruti is a scam. There is no scale that is needed for brilliance of music. What is shruti? Shruti is again inherited from harmonium. there is no harmony about harmonium. It is just a reed, church instrument that was brought about into the country to show that music can be in certain scales only. 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, not necessary at all. If you let a child sing, it can sing in any frequency, beautifully, still sound absolutely musical. You interpret the scales after that. After a child sings, you don't force it ahead of time. You force it ahead of time to industrialize music, because you are now giving the music into the hands of people who hold this harmonium, who can only say this pam, 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 and tell you a jnana sunyam. They will call you a jnana sunyam just because they have an instrument in their hands and pom, 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 pom. Today, there's a piano on every phone, right? Touch screen. If you just download an app, it's there. But still, it's not easy to learn music. Why? Because of the scales that have been chosen, right? In Indian music, we've chosen Maya Molava Gaula as the first ragam to teach for the first 5 years. It's a 5-year teaching package. And 100 children are taught, only 2 people will actually cross that hurdle. And only of million people, only 100 people will only get a chance to talk to a teacher. That is how terrible music education is in the modern world today. And they will call it a parampara. There is a parampara involved, no doubt, but who's scaling it? Who's taking care of scaling it? Who's making sure that this happens without greed? Who's ensuring that a lot of children today are learning? No one. So I shouldn't have said shruti when I was talking about music, because shruti itself is a scam. You can enjoy any frequency, anywhere, right? So this tambura also, right? Tambura is, oh wow, divine tambura. Tambur is an Arabian instrument. Where does Arabia have to do with our few thousands year or more old music? Again, Hindustani came in along the way, and Hindustani, Carnatic, they made some. Hindustani is not an equivalent genre to Carnatic, right? You have to have an appreciation for timelines, right? When something originates, that is important. And then you pay respects to what came first, right? When are we going to learn history? When are we going to teach children to understand what came first, right? So Carnatic itself, Mullaipan or Carnatic, that is the question to ask. Hindustania, Carnatica, ni endha music, Western, Indian. Western is like 14, 15 and 1600 nonsense, right? Later, much later. It sounds good because they have industrialized it. Harmony, the multiple pressing of the keys, pianos and everything, right? Something else. Violin. Oh, violin is a super instrument. Violin முன்னாடி என்ன சாரங்கி, அது யாருக்கு தெரியும்? சாரங்கிலேருந்து அங்கே போயிருக்கு. So instruments can get changed along the way, right? Because either you kill a civilization, you kill a group of musicians, or you invade a particular land and you can take it away. Thankfully, this country has so much records of music and culture, heritage, yoga, Bharatanatyam, everything all over the place, that it is so difficult to touch, and it is now spread all over America, spread all over the world, right? So it is so gifted that it's going to reach no matter what, right? I'm smiling and enjoying this part of the video because there is absolutely no concern, fear for me. But my only fear is children that we know, international schools here, 20-30 people, they're all saying, oh uncle, this band is so gone, man, your interest in music is gone. All that you have to do is take them to a Carnatic session, not a class. The class will take you to a 5-year-old package, unless there is a guru next to you who you love, who loves you, is very rare to get. Correct? And unless that happens, don't even call it a class. Just take them to sessions of Carnatic music where akkas and annas are singing. I'll share some what happens in this community. Share it with them and make them understand that there is divinity. They don't have to worship through the song, right? But they will automatically start closing their eyes and enjoy the Brahmari. The Brahmari pranayama in yoga is such a beautiful thing, where the one frequency is maintained for a long time. So they will start enjoying the vibrations of a single frequency. So that is music, right? So I'd like to conclude this video by saying, stay away from rock and roll. Rock and roll means extremely disgusting stuff, and it has 7 billion, 8 billion views on YouTube, which means every child is repeatedly looping it, again for all the wrong reasons, taps the sexual energies of children early in their lives, and they will never be interested in any other genre of music. And And I think that's pretty much that's what I wanted to share in this video. Thank you so much.